Market segmentation is the process of breaking down the entire market of consumers into a number of smaller markets or market segments. Market segmentation has a number of benefits for an organization. It forces organizations to reflect on their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It pushes organizations to make an effort and identify what groups of consumers, market segments, want. It improves the match of demand and supply, which stands at the center of successful marketing. Matching organizational strengths and consumer needs while taking competitor action into consideration leads to long-term competitive advantage. Internally, if implemented well, market segmentation contributes to team building among all involved organizational units. But market segmentation also comes at a cost. The involvement of many people within the organization is required. This implies a substantial commitment in terms of human resources, and it costs a considerable sum of money. Market research has to be conducted, new products need to be developed or old ones modified, and effective communication campaigns need to be created. Market segmentation analysis is the process of grouping consumers into naturally existing or artificially created segments of consumers who share similar product needs. The term market segmentation analysis makes us think it's a very scientific mathematical process. It is not. Rather, it's an exploratory process which requires data analysts to work closely with users, typically managers of an organization, to arrive at the best possible result. Market segmentation analysis consists of 3 layers. Extracting groups of consumers or market segments is primarily a technical task. It stands at the core of market segmentation analysis. The second layer is about enabling high-quality market segmentation analysis. This second layer includes technical tasks such as collecting good data, exploring data thoroughly before grouping consumers, and profiling and describing market segments in detail. The third layer of market segmentation analysis is making it happen in practice. It covers implementation issues such as the decision to go ahead with market segmentation or not, and the selection of the most suitable target segments for the organization. A good market segmentation analysis is a team effort. Optimally, users and data analysts work together through the entire process of market segmentation analysis. Data analysts drive the core layer. Users drive the third, the outer layer that wraps around all the other tasks. Data analysts and users work collaboratively on the second layer. The best data analyst alone cannot produce the best market segmentation solution. Neither can the most astute user. When we group consumers, we can take one of 2 possible approaches. We can use characteristics of consumers known to be associated with certain consumption behavior to group them. Such characteristics include age, gender, and country of origin. This approach is referred to as a priori or common sense market segmentation. Throughout this MOOC, we will use the term common sense segmentation. Common sense segmentation is simple, but this is not necessarily bad. If the characteristic chosen is predictive of consumption behavior, it is in fact very attractive because it's easy to implement. We just need to group consumers based on the chosen characteristic. We refer to this characteristic as the segmentation variable. Imagine, for example, the market of tourists. There are all kinds of tourists: young ones, old ones, women, men, singles, families. Now imagine we're a tourist destination known for its adventure activities, like bungee jumping and white river rafting. It may well be the most attractive approach to target young tourists. In addition, we could decide to target young tourists whose travel motive is adventure. Once we have decided to target this segment, we just need to understand it really well and cater to it. So common sense segmentation is based on one or a small number of segmentation variables. The nature of the resulting market segments is known in advance. But sometimes there is no single obvious characteristic that can be used as a segmentation variable. In such situations, we can conduct cluster-based, post hoc, a posteriori, or data-driven market segmentation. We will use the term data-driven segmentation in this MOOC. As opposed to common sense segmentation, data-driven segmentation uses more than one or two segmentation variables as a basis. The nature of market segments is not known in advance. A data-driven market segmentation analysis using tourist expenditures across a range of different expenditure categories may, for example, reveal that some tourists visit a wide range of man-made attractions at the destination, while others prefer natural attractions, and others again only spend money on the basic necessities. This is an interesting market segmentation solution, especially for all the man-made attractions at the destination. But we could not anticipate these segments in advance. They emerged from the data analysis. If we use common sense segments, they are real. They are young or old, they are women or men. In data-driven market segmentation, this is not always the case. Segments can be distinct and well-separated groups of consumers, which are present in the data. Or, if distinct and well-separated segments do not exist, segments can be artificially created by an extraction method used to create groupings of similar consumers. Look at the following three datasets. But keep in mind that these are simplified because they only have 2 dimensions. 2 dimensions means only 2 segmentation variables. In reality, data-driven market segmentation studies typically have between 10 and 20 segmentation variables. But this 2-dimensional example illustrates that datasets can have different structures. Whether the data-driven market segmentation analysis can reveal real, naturally occurring market segments, or whether it has to create market segments artificially, depends on the structure of the data. Dataset A contains 3 natural market segments. If market segments are so well separated, they are easy to identify through data-driven market segmentation analysis. We will discuss later how to do this. Dataset C is a whole different story. Here, no natural segments exist. Market segments have to be created. But is it legitimate to artificially create market segments if none exist? Yes, it is. From the perspective of an organization trying to best possibly match consumer needs with their strengths, it is better to target only consumers in the top right corner because they are more similar to one another and match organizational strengths. Dataset B sits in the middle. Technically, there are no distinct and well-separated market segments. Yet, there is some structure. Certain regions of the plot contain no consumers. Other regions contain many. In this case, market segments are still artificially created, but the data structure can be leveraged by the algorithm to extract more stable market segments than for dataset C. We refer to situation A as natural segmentation, to B as reproducible segmentation, and to C as constructive segmentation. Later in this MOOC, we will introduce an approach that allows us to determine for any given dataset in which of those categories the dataset falls. This is important to know because natural segmentation simply leads to the correct segments. But constructive segmentation does not. It requires much more input from users to select which of the many possible artificially created segments is most useful to the organization. In this MOOC, we use a 10-step process of market segmentation analysis. In step 1, the organization needs to carefully assess the costs and the benefits associated with pursuing a market segmentation strategy and decide whether or not to commit to it. In step 2, the organization needs to think about what their ideal target segment might look like. In step 3, data needs to be collected. Data collection is critically important. Good segmentation studies cannot be based on bad data. In step 4, data needs to be cleaned, possibly pre-processed, and explored. Step 5 is where the core grouping task takes place. If we use common sense segmentation, we split our consumers up on the basis of the pre-selected characteristic. If we use data-driven segmentation, we use algorithms to extract segments based on a set of segmentation variables. In step 6, we profile the market segments resulting from data-driven segmentation. This helps us understand who these groups of consumers are. In step 7, we describe market segments using as much additional information as we can possibly get about them. By the end of this stage, we should have a very good understanding of the consumers in those market segments. In step 8, we use the criteria developed in step 2 to select one or a small number of market segments to target. In step 9, we customize the marketing mix to best possibly cater to the target segment's needs. And finally, in step 10, we evaluate the performance of the segmentation strategy and monitor potential market changes which may require adjustments to the strategy. The following sections of the MOOC work through these 10 steps one by one.